There is no justifiable reason to use your most inconsistent bullpen arm throughout the entire season in a tie baseball game in the 8th inning against in a game that you need to win.
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. He's Brian McKeon. We've been hosting the show together since April 24th. We're both lifelong Yankee fans. And Brian, the Yankees take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back.
More like 8 steps back.
This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Enter a chance to win a dream golf trip for 2 to any golf tournament in the USA. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchases necessary, and it excludes the Masters tournament, and it ends October 31st, 2025. Before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to Locked On Yankees on whichever podcasting platform you prefer. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube, like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified when those videos go live, and follow us on TikTok if you're there. We're at LockedOn_Yankees. On today's show, we preview the finale against the Astros. Anthony Rizzo and Curtis Granderson had interesting things to say after the Yankees' victory against Houston, because it was on TBS. They're on the post-game show, and we're going to discuss that in segment 2. But first, I don't even know where to start with this, Brian.
In the 7th inning. Let's take a little bit of time. We don't do this very often. Let's pat ourselves on the back for just 2 seconds here, because earlier in the week when we previewed this 12-game stretch they were going into, me and you deliberately said, under no circumstance, if it's a close game, can you use Devin Williams. And the second pitcher in a big spot, Aaron Boone, goes to Devin Williams. Make it make any sense. I said this on the shorts that we post every single night, and I posted it just a few minutes before we started recording. Anybody who has watched a lick of Yankee baseball throughout the entire season could have told you that Devin Williams was the wrong call in that situation.
Yeah.
I can't fathom. I don't care what analytics, what lane, what stupid spin rate argue. I don't care what they could possibly have to say. There is no justifiable reason to use your most inconsistent bullpen arm throughout the entire season in a tie baseball game in the 8th inning against in a game that you need to win. Because right. Toronto won earlier and Boston actually lost. You had a chance to gain on Boston and a chance to get to stay even with Toronto. Now you move a game back at Toronto. Stacey, I don't have the excuse. And then as soon as that happens, you immediately have to have Boone playing tough guy, walking out there, screaming at the ump, getting thrown out. Save it for me. I'm good. Yeah. Was the strike call bad? Yeah. Don't leave it up to that. Don't put Devin Williams in the 8th inning where he's going to walk he walked 3 guys in the inning, Stacey. I don't want to hear about how the strike zone now he's getting pinched on the last batter and he walks the runner in. Don't walk the bases loaded.
Right.
And that doesn't have a chance to happen. Don't leave it up to the umpires. Good baseball teams don't let the umpires lose them baseball games. They don't. And the umpiring was terrible. I'm not going to sit here and make an excuse for the umpires. They were atrocious. And specifically, the last 2 innings for the Yankees. I rarely am one to say this, but it felt like the Yankees got absolutely no calls whatsoever, and the Astros got every single call that was remotely close to a strike late in the game. I'll admit that, but Stacey, good teams don't let that happen to them. They don't. I don't even know what else to say about this baseball game. Stanton homered, great. Wells had an unbelievable game at the plate, great. Does that matter? Bellinger had a really clutch hit. Does any of that matter? If you don't use Williams there, none of this happens. I can pretty confidently say that. I can't get over it. It's an insanely horrible decision.
Yeah, and then after Williams, Doval just
it's not a clean inning. He's coming with the bases loaded. Like I can't get on Doval that much for that inning. I can't.
I know, but I just try to get the ball over the plate and not past your catcher, and you know what I mean? Like, try to not be wild and try not to balk. And I just, I wasn't penciling in this game as a win. I was penciling it as a maybe. I figured they win 2 out of 3. I figured it would be the Fried and Rodón starts. But the way they lost this game is so frustrating because they should have won it. They were up 4-1 in the 6th.
With their bullpen coming in.
Was it that far? The 6th?
Yeah, in the 6th inning, with their dominant bullpen coming in.
Yeah.
Like with the prized part of this team that you upgraded at the deadline coming in that's supposed to directly result in winning you games. And I'm sorry, the manager directly lost in this baseball game. They scored 7 runs tonight. That should win you this game. It should have. And the Astros had 1 run through the 6th. So and with this bullpen, I don't want to hear how the Yankees gave it up. The manager directly lost in this baseball game. Simple, plain as that. That decision is so unbelievably inexcusable in that spot. I can't wrap my head around it. It's to think that Devin Williams is the guy that you go to in that position is insane, Stacey. It's insane to think that is the guy that you with, by the way, we didn't even mention this. The bullpen was not remotely compromised. Everybody was as healthy as humanly possible. Right. You haven't had a healthier, more rested bullpen since opening day. And that's the decision you go to? The second guy out of the pen to shut this game down. That's who you go to. One of the most inconsistent relievers in all of baseball. That's who you chose in that moment. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Yankees have 8 blown saves since August 1st. That's tied with Arizona. And as this person wrote on social media, whose pen is entirely AAA guys at this point, and the number of blown saves is especially alarming when you consider how many blowout wins they've had. The bullpen has been incredibly unclutch in close games. A reliever has been the losing pitcher in 9 of 13 losses over that span.
Insane. And I can't come up with a reason. This is some of the most aggravated I've been in a loss in a good month or two. Just because it's so inexcusable to lose this game, and this time of the year is so pressure-packed, and they need these games so badly, and it's to the point where these games matter so much. We always tell people on this show to calm down over losses in May and June because it's not the NFL where every game matters so much. But we're getting to that crunch time point of the season where every game does matter so much. Stacey, Toronto was down 5-0 in their game earlier tonight and scored 13 unanswered runs to win the baseball game. Like you could have saw the scoreboard and thought you really had a chance in this spot to take advantage of a good chance, and they did nothing here. And I don't even want to blame Devin Williams. He's been awful. He's stunk this year, sure, but you know that you have all the evidence you could possibly have needed going into this spot. To think that was the decision to make in that spot is so crazy. Like, I can't imagine defending it. Boone, by the way, I'm not even remotely kidding right here because I watched the post-game press conference to get his comments. I actually wish I was kidding right here. He actually did say Devin Williams had good stuff. He said he had good stuff, and he thought Devin Williams had competitive at-bats. He walked 3 guys. He walked 3 men. Competitive at-bats is an insane comment. I don't know how you could watch stuff like this happen and justify keeping the manager at the end of the season.
Adding to what you said, because I don't want to lose this thought, although I almost did. When you were talking about how we talk about losses in May and June, like not freaking out over them, this team put themselves in the position
100%
where every game now is a must-win game. There's no letting down this month. You can't have a letdown at all. You have to be firing on all cylinders. This feels like similar to 2012 when they were in the lead for the division and Baltimore was literally on their tail and they had to win every game because Baltimore was right there. But this is them chasing other teams and keeping other teams at bay. And it's their fault for not playing well in June, July, and some of August. This is all on them. They made it this way where you have to win most of the games that you play for the next month. So congrats to you guys for doing that.
If you held the 8-game lead that you had earlier in the season to this point and you lost the game the way you did tonight, A, I wouldn't have come on nearly as angry, but B, You would have sat here and said, you know what? Not a bad chance for Devin Williams. See if he can prove himself. And he blew it again. Okay, at least you're getting a lot of evidence going into the postseason that he can't handle these big moments.
Right.
But like you just said, they haven't afforded themselves the opportunity to take those tests and take those advantages and take those chances. They haven't afforded themselves that opportunity. And that's to no fault but their own.
Yep.
But with all the evidence you have on this year of how bad Devin Williams has been, that's why I laugh. And again, the umpiring was atrocious. I'm not going to argue that. But that's why I laugh at the coming out of the dugout and freaking out and arguing and screaming at the umpire and telling him it's a trash call and this, that, and the other.
Was he screaming at the umpire because the umpire threw Williams out when Williams was leaving the game? Was that why he came out?
I mean, right? Boone was screaming, it's not a strike, it's not a strike. And the umpire did antagonize him by staring him down, which what are we doing?
Why are you doing that? Yeah, because they know they can egg him on and he'll explode, and then they can throw him out.
It creates a moment, and then the umpire sees himself on Instagram later, and it's a great highlight reel for him. His result group.
Yeah,
wonderful. Still, regardless, Boone being angry about that, you're the one who put Devin Williams in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to hear you complaining about. You're the one who chose to put Devin Williams in there. And the fact that you could still have confidence in this guy after all that he's done this year is crazy. So, yeah, I don't have any sympathy for Aaron Boone in that spot. He got thrown out of another game. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, this is a weekly thing to try and inspire the team, and it never works because they don't believe in their own manager. So I think that's crazy. On the balk later on, let's just mention this really quick. I don't know how the home plate umpire could have possibly seen Duvall's motion when his left leg is so far in front of his right leg. There's no way he could have told that Duvall didn't come to a set motion. If the second or third base umpire makes that call, totally understandable. Neither of those guys made the call, but the home plate umpire did. That seems a little vindictive over being a little aggravated with the Yankees screaming from the bench.
Yeah.
Again, you're not helping yourself by screaming from the bench, but that's and there was a great point made by Todd Frazier on the postgame. There are semantics in sports. To make that call there is wild. In the eighth inning with the bases loaded is crazy to make a balk call there. Yeah. I mean, there are so many pitchers that make much more insane, horribly worse offenses and don't get balk calls. That right there is wild.
Yep. All right, don't forget, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button on our videos, hit the notifications so you know when our videos go up. You can also join the Locked On Yankees Insiders Club. The link is in our description. You'll get texts from us. You can text us questions, comments, reactions to trades and signings and games. There were some fun reactions on Wednesday night to the loss to the Astros. We send out the lineups during the season, roster moves, and breaking news so you don't have to check social media. There's a 14-day free trial. Coming up, two former Yankees had something very interesting to say about their playoff chances and how they think they should go into the playoffs. We'll let you know all about it next.
Time to fuel up and turn it up with 5-Hour Energy Transfusion. This grape, ginger, and lime flavored shot brings the iconic taste of the golf course favorite to a non-alcoholic boost. Perfect for sinking birdies or making great memories with friends. It's a hole-in-one for your energy game. And whether you're out on the course or just need a little extra push to power through your day, 5-Hour Energy Transfusion delivers the clubhouse flavor you love without ever leaving the green. Golf is all about good times with good people and good flavors. The grape ginger lime flavor of 5-Hour Energy Transfusion gives you the best parts of your clubhouse go-to without leaving the course or having to chase down the beverage cart. And now you can amp up the fun even more. Just buy, snap, and enter for a chance to win a dream golf trip for two to any golf tournament in the United States. Tee up that trip. Visit 5hewin.com for full rules and entry. No purchase necessary. Excludes the Masters tournament. Ends October 31st, 2025.
It's Thursday, which means tomorrow is Fan Mail Friday. And that also means you need to get your questions in very soon. In fact, if you're watching this Thursday morning, we would like for you, if you're on YouTube, to go to our channel's page, click the post tab, leave your questions where I leave the post. The deadline is 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, Thursday afternoon. So get those questions in as soon as you can.
Yep, and I'll be hosting solo tomorrow for Fan Mail Friday, so you guys can come at me with whatever you want, and I'm sure there'll be plenty of Boone content that is going to be added in to Fan Mail Friday if you're getting your last minute questions. And I would not be shocked if there's double questions of people who already submitted and are going to resubmit. We get that quite often, and I'm sure Aaron Boone's going to be a large talking point going into Fan Mail Friday. So, Stacey, An interesting question was brought up earlier on the TBS broadcast on the post game. Tell me about this.
Yeah, so this was after Tuesday's game when the Yankees had a nice game and they actually won. Curtis Granderson and Anthony Rizzo were talking about the Yankees, and the host, what's his name? I'm looking at it. Oh, yes, Adam Lefko. I didn't even know who that was. But anyway, he asked Rizzo, or he said to Rizzo, you think this team is better off winning the wild card? And Rizzo said, well, not necessarily, but, and then he went into a whole spiel about the Yankees doing. He said that the team is built for the playoffs, or for a deep run in the playoffs, as made up now, like how they're built now. And then Curtis Granderson said something interesting, and I want to get your take on this. Granderson said that with the way the Yankees are so hot and cold and how dependent they are on their offense being, all cylinders running, you don't want them to have long breaks. He thinks it would actually be beneficial if they did win a wild card as opposed to the division, because the team as it's built right now with the way the offense isn't going to do well if you play your last game on Sunday in the regular season and you're not playing again until like Friday.
I would say, to Granderson's point, it depends on how they're hitting on Sunday. As opposed, like if they're hot at that point, you kind of want to keep playing, and if they're cold, you want to stop. I'll say this. This kind of point holds true to almost every team going into the postseason. You see this a lot, and this is why wild card teams often make runs in the Major League Baseball playoffs, because that half week off that teams get is not beneficial at all to these teams. Teams don't like sitting around not playing. They like being able to play.
Since the wild card round became a thing, because when it was just the wild card game, it wasn't a big deal. When the wild card had to play a division winner in the division series, it wasn't a big deal. But now that you literally have this bye, that you're sitting back and waiting, you saw it with teams last year that maybe had a little bit of a problem with the bye.
And you can't, there's no type of batting practice, simulated game that you can play that's going to replicate the actual energy of a crowd and stadium for a playoff game, but also the energy and emotion that goes into every at-bat, every pitch of a playoff game. You can't replicate that in a bullpen. Right. So these teams that are sitting around waiting for the next opponent, it's not beneficial to them. They've made it clear. There's no way of avoiding this because Major League Baseball is so greedy of getting more money with these extra playoff games. There's no way of avoiding this entire thing. I do think it would be, as a team's sake, it would be more beneficial for the Yankees to keep playing through. I would agree with them on that point. And I would take it from Anthony Rizzo, who's a former player and actually a former player pretty much on this roster, knows a lot of the guys that are currently on this roster. So he knows what makes these guys tick and what doesn't. So I would trust his opinion a lot on this case. I would say this, though, the only fight back I'd have on it, you should want to win the division if the Yankees. Sure. Because you do want the most games possible to be played in the Bronx.
Right.
Because the Yankees have a legitimate home field advantage in the postseason that you don't get in other places. But I do like the point, and I think this does tend to the fact that a lot of wild card teams over the last few years wound up making runs to the World Series. You saw it with the Arizona Diamondbacks a few years ago. It does happen because it's just one of those things you're consistently playing and you're going through. You see it in the NFL too, by the way, all the time in the divisional round. Teams get picked off in the divisional round from wildcard team all the time because you're just not prepared. I would still rather personally see them win the division, though.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn. Like your point to where you want more playoff games at home, I get that, and I would rather that as well. But I would also rather them not be sitting around, because we do see how this team performs when they're sitting around too long, and then you can't get going. And the wild card round isn't as long as a division round. So if you lose 2, you're out. So you can't really. Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like it's an interesting
it's a tough debate. Listen, at the end of the day, getting into the dance is what's most important. It is a tough debate back and forth. And I think they're going to get in. There's a lot of teams chasing in the American League, certainly more than the National League. But I do think the Yankees are going to get in at this point. I mean, there's too many teams that would have to go on insanely hot streaks to be able to get in front of them at this point. So I do think
the Rays who can't stop losing.
The Rays just don't lose at all. But too many teams that are going to have to jump in front to really be able to make a difference at this point. But still, I think the Yankees, their biggest benefit come October is the home field.
Yeah.
Even as much as they build the pitching and everything like that, there still isn't there may not be the intimidation factor of playing the New York Yankees anymore as much as there used to be. The team, the jersey, the logo doesn't quite create that intimidation factor it used to, especially in the 90s. The stadium still does. Going to the Bronx in a playoff game, the chill in the air, the fan base going a little crazy, that still is a thing. And players admit it all the time. So I think you want to take advantage of that.
Yeah. Yes, I would like to point out that people who used to always say, oh, new Yankee Stadium is quiet. It's like, no, they turned the crowd mics down because you thought it was quiet when Raul Ibanez did what he did against Baltimore in 2012. No, that place went absolutely nuts.
Yeah, and I've been to an insane amount of playoff games. Since the 2017 run, I must have been to over 10, 12 playoff games at this point. The place gets very, very, very loud. And I've been to over 200 sporting events in my life. It gets really, really loud. Trust me. I do think there's a much more of a corporate environment, and I do think the old stadium with the upper deck hanging over the field was a lot more intimidating. I'll give it that.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't take away from that. There's a lot of complaints that I have about the new building. Don't get me wrong. It still gets really, really loud in that building, and the fan base is 100% an advantage that they take it with them into October. By the way, just to your point, the Rays beat the Mariners and swept them in that series.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff. Great, the Mariners to go down there and get swept by the Rays, who, this is the most Tampa Bay Rays thing ever. They're creeping back in. They're now 2.5 out of a wild card spot.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah. One cool thing that happened, they were talking to Jazz after the game on Tuesday night because he had the big game with the 2 home runs. And as they were ending the interview, Rizzo said, say hi to the guys, tell them I love them or tell them I miss them. And I thought that was the sweetest thing. And Jazz is like, yeah. I was like, oh, poor Rizzo. Like, he really liked being a Yankee. And what happened with him with the Tatis thing, like it was such a fluke thing that happened and it ruined his career. Like he should still be playing. And when that happened, he was the best hitter on that team. He was hitting over 300 that year. You couldn't get him out. He was hitting, singles opposite field. Like it was unbelievable. It was like he was having a renaissance that year. And then the thing with Tatis happened and it's just so sad, but he does really well with the analysis, I will say.
And he speaks very honest and open, which is kind of refreshing for a former player in that spotlight.
Yeah. It's nice to see. All right. Well, coming up, we're going to preview the finale against the Astros in Houston, which is now a rubber game because they're tied 1-1 going into that third game. And we'll tell you about some news from around the league next.
There's nothing quite like catching a baseball game live, the energy, the crowd, and the chance to see your team in person. But actually getting tickets, that becomes the tough part. Queues, login screens, surprise fees, it all takes the fun out of the whole experience. And that's why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time at the best price possible. Plus, all the fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I went to see Oasis the other day and used Gametime, made the entire process completely seamless, not 1 ounce of difficulty in the whole ticket buying experience. And one of the best parts, the fees were included when I looked online. You know your total upfront. There's no surprise fees at checkout. And honestly, it's faster, it's cheaper, and it's a lot less stressful than any other way that I've bought tickets in the past. So download the Gametime app today. Create an account and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Gametime today. And guys, got good news. Not only do we cover your team every single day, but now we're giving you instant episodes after every single game. You can check out the Locked On Yankees postcast. It's hosted by Jay Berman and it appears right here on the Locked On Yankees podcast feed. It also premieres every single day on our YouTube channel. Get rapid reaction to all the biggest moments with the Locked On Yankees postcast. So, Stacey, before we move on, I do want to ask you a question that I forgot to bring up earlier. The final call of the game, the Jazz Chisholm Jr. strikeout. Your take on that?
I don't know. I saw someone bring up a good point. with the gambling stuff, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. But if they're going to check the players for betting on baseball, they need to also check the umpires for betting on baseball.
That's an off-season episode that I can't wait to discuss.
Because you're seeing some things happening with these umps where, like, you joke to yourself, what does he have money on this? Like,
yeah.
But with the climate as it is now, with how everything is with betting, and seeing two players already being not like they're not thrown out of baseball yet.
But you could say it, yeah, but
all but
guilty.
Yeah, they're on leave and they keep postponing them coming back. So something's going on with that. And I just want Major League Baseball to maybe take a look at the umps. I'm just saying it's possible.
They stepped in this mud, first of all, with all the gambling stuff. They took all the money from the gambling sponsorships. They got no one to blame but themselves. If you're Jazz, though, from a baseball perspective, yeah, was it a ball? Yes. You have to swing at that pitch there.
Yeah.
Knowing how inconsistent the umpires have been all game.
Right.
Well, since from the 6th inning on, and that pitch was close enough to swing. It was not completely off the plate where you can't even get your bat on it. You have to swing at that pitch.
Yeah, I think he should have swung. And it would have been, like, if he swung through it and missed it, it would have been like, all right, at least he tried or whatever. But for it to be that, to end the game. And
complain about it, yeah, you can't end the game like that. Looking.
Yeah.
Thursday's game, 7:40 p.m. start time. It'll be a yes game. Carlos Rodón will get the start, 15-7 with a 3.18. He'll go up against Christian Javier, who's 1-1 with a 3.38 ERA. Update on the standings here, Stacey. The Yankees are now 3.5 behind Toronto after Toronto won again with getting 13 unanswered runs after being down 5-0 in that game. Toronto gets the win. Yankees are also now tied with Boston, who lost their game as well. Now, here's where it gets funky and funny. Seattle lost their game, but still remains in the third wild card spot. But Texas is now a game and a half back of Seattle. Right behind them on their trails is Kansas City, who's 2.5 back. Behind them, tied, is Tampa Bay, who's 2.5 back as well. Insane that Tampa Bay, 2 weeks ago, Stacey, were 8.5 out of the final wild card spot, are now 2.5 out of it because they're playing out of their minds. Just swept the Mariners, which is wild. And Cleveland remains 3 out of it. So there are 5 teams right there fighting for that one final playoff spot. Absolutely crazy and kind of exactly what Major League Baseball was looking for when it came to all of this happening and adding these extra teams.
What Major League Baseball is not looking for is Kyle Freeland still complaining about what Rafael Devers did on Tuesday night in the pregame scrum on Wednesday. And Trevor Plouffe called him out for it, which I thought was pretty funny.
I heard, did you hear the comments after the game too, where Freeland was like, I just don't appreciate him standing there and admiring the home run. I was sitting there on the bus on my way to work thinking, don't give up a home run.
Pitch better, dude.
It's crazy to have that complaint.
Don't
have a 7 ERA. Like, it's wild to be complaining about that. You gave up the home run, dude. He can do whatever he wants.
Your team has like a 300 run, like a minus 300 run differential. Like,
get over it.
Yeah.
People celebrating against the Rockies. Now all of a sudden they're offended. Now they're bothered by losing all these games.
Yeah.
I do want to say too, and I'm not trying to sound like a better person here. If I was a major league pitcher, I honestly don't think I would have a problem with guys showing me up like that. It get to a certain level. If he's chucking his bat and setting off fireworks down the first base line, okay, then I get a little aggravated. But to that level where he's going to admire it, no, I honestly don't think I'd be bothered by it. Like, I give up the home run. I would honestly think of that way in real life. So wild stuff out of that. Yeah. Our weekly Robbie Cano update to 4,000. Where's the Chase? Where does Chase sit?
Right now, he's at 7 away. So 3,993, I believe is the right. Is that, if my math is correct? But let me just double check, because I am following the guy who is keeping track of this. He is sitting and watching all of these games. See, his last update is Cano grounded out. 6 away. Sorry, he hit a single.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Don't you know?
Robbie Cano, don't you know? About 15 minutes ago. So what is it? It's 12:22 as we're recording this. So shortly after midnight Eastern Daylight Time, Robbie Cano hit his 3,994th professional hit. The one that he hit for 3,993 was a double, which gives him 852 in his career.
And speaking of that Rockies game with the guys getting thrown out, Matt Chapman is disputing the suspension that was given out to him. So he's allowed to play while he's disputing the challenge, the suspension.
Yeah.
He played in the game against the Rockies today and has 2 home runs.
Right.
So,
it's a crazy game
so
going
funny.
on there. Yeah.
So funny. Roman Anthony done for the year for the Red Sox. Awful spot for them. Couldn't have that happen. Shohei Ohtani had his start skipped against the Rockies. Who are they playing right now? Had his start skipped against the Pirates because he had a stomach bug going in, which is not fun. I can't imagine pitching with that going on. Pete Armstrong is sitting again, not for physical reasons, for a mental break, which is a big concern. I don't think he's loving it in Chicago too much.
Ugh.
And this is wild too. Also, it was announced the Diamondbacks there was a debate. They could have been moving stadiums. They are staying in Chase Field. The city also approved a $500 million renovation for the stadium. Shelby Miller, who the Brewers were saying publicly after the Devin Williams struggles were happening mid-year that, thank God we traded him away because Shelby Miller is killing it for us out of the bullpen. He's been so good. He's been great for us all season, been really great. We have our future closer. Well, he has now been moved to the 60-day IL. His season is done, and he likely is going to be going for Tommy John surgery. So not rooting for that for Shelby Miller at all, but careful what you wish for, Milwaukee.
Ooh, that is not good.
Talk about having an egg on your face after talking a bunch of crap for trading Devin Williams.
Also, Kyle Finnegan was warming up in the bullpen against the Mets, and he tweaked his right groin. Like, he didn't even get to go into the game, so they're hoping that's not going to be a major injury for the Tigers because he's been lights out lately. So
Crazy.
that's not a good thing for them.
So many injuries. So many. Injuries.
Yeah, and it's the worst time of year for some of these teams because it's the stretch. It's the stretch run. You're there. We're less than a month away from the playoffs starting, and
it's hard to build these guys back up too, especially the pitchers. You don't have time to build these guys back up. Likely their rehab starts are going to be major innings in playoff games, which is not a deal.
Right. All right. Well, it's another big moment for Locked On College football fans. Locked On and Fire TV present College Football Kickoff, your ultimate college football weekly preview. Drake Toll of Locked On Big 12 leads the conversation along 2-time AP Coach of the Year, Gary Patterson, former college star Jesse Holley, and Locked On's local experts. College football preview only Locked On can do. Catch College Football Kickoff every Thursday throughout the season only on Fire TV. So that'll do it for this edition of Locked On Yankees. Remember, Brian will be alone for Fan Mail Friday, so send him as many questions as you can and make them interesting because that'll be fun to watch while I'm not in town. So I'm Stacey Gotsoulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. Thank you for being our therapy session for today. Thank you for listening to Locked On Yankees. We'll see you tomorrow.